Have you ever gone through a season in your life where it suddenly feels like everything becomes quiet? Friends who used to be close begin to fade away. Conversations become less frequent. Relationships that once filled your days seem to slowly disappear, and you find yourself spending more time alone than you ever expected. At first, it may feel confusing. You may start asking questions in your heart. Why am I alone right now? Why do I feel separated from people I once shared my life with? Did I do something wrong, or is something wrong with me? These questions are very common during seasons of solitude, and many people experience them at some point in their journey. But what if this season is not a mistake? What if it is not a punishment or a sign that life is moving in the wrong direction? What if the quiet season you are experiencing is actually part of the way God is preparing you for something greater? Many people misunderstand these moments of solitude. They assume that being alone means they are losing something important. But in many cases, God allows a season of being alone so that He can work more deeply in your life. There are lessons that can only be learned when life becomes quiet. There are changes that can only happen when the noise of the world begins to fade. Stay with me until the end of this message, because the final truth about these seasons of solitude is something most people never fully understand, and it may completely change the way you see this chapter of your life. One of the most important reasons God keeps you alone for a season is to strengthen your relationship with Him. When life is full of constant activity, social interaction, and the opinions of others, it becomes difficult to hear the gentle guidance that God is trying to give you. The world is full of distractions. People share their expectations, their advice, their fears, and their ideas about what your life should look like. Over time, those voices become so loud that it becomes hard to recognize the quiet direction of God. But when God allows a season where you spend more time alone, the distractions begin to disappear. The noise becomes quieter. And in that quiet space, you begin to hear something you may have been missing before. You begin to recognize God's presence in a deeper way. Prayer becomes more meaningful. Reflection becomes more honest. Your faith begins to grow stronger because you are no longer relying on the energy of others to shape your spiritual life. Another reason God may keep you alone for a season is so you can truly discover who you are. Many people spend years defining themselves through relationships, social groups, and the approval of others. Their identity becomes connected to how others see them. They shape their behavior to match the expectations around them. But when those influences slowly step away, something powerful happens. You begin to see yourself more clearly. You begin to recognize your own thoughts, your own dreams, and the purpose that God placed within you long before other voices began shaping your life. This period of solitude can become a powerful moment of self-discovery. Without constant external influence, you begin to understand the direction that truly belongs to you. There are also times when God keeps you alone because He is protecting you. Not every environment is healthy for your growth. Not every group of people supports the path you are meant to follow. Some relationships may quietly pull you away from the purpose God placed in your heart. Their mindset, habits, or priorities may influence your decisions in ways that slowly lead you away from the life you are meant to build. Instead of allowing those influences to continue shaping your direction, God sometimes creates distance. At first, that distance may feel uncomfortable. You may miss the companionship you once had. You may feel uncertain about why things changed. But later, you may realize that the separation protected you from paths that would have distracted you from your calling. Another important reason for a season of solitude is personal growth. Growth often requires focus and reflection. When your life is constantly filled with social activity, it becomes difficult to focus on the deeper work that needs to happen inside you. A quiet season creates the space needed for that transformation. It becomes a time where you can develop your mindset, your discipline, your habits, and your goals. You begin to invest energy into your personal development rather than constantly reacting to the expectations of others. Many of the most successful and spiritually grounded people have experienced seasons where they stepped away from constant connection in order to focus on their growth. These seasons also give you the opportunity to develop emotional strength. When you learn how to stand confidently on your own, you become less dependent on approval and validation from others. Your sense of worth begins to come from your faith and your purpose rather than from external recognition. This kind of emotional independence is extremely valuable because it allows you to move through life with stability and clarity. Another powerful benefit of solitude is clarity. When life slows down and distractions become fewer, you begin to see your life from a different perspective. You may recognize patterns that you never noticed before. You may realize that certain relationships were not as supportive as you believed. You may notice habits or decisions that were quietly holding you back. This clarity allows you to make wiser choices about the future. Instead of repeating the same patterns, you begin to shape your life with greater awareness. There are also moments when God keeps you alone because He is reshaping your environment. Before new and healthier relationships can appear, certain chapters must come to an end. Before people who truly support your growth enter your life, the old patterns of connection may need to fade. This process may feel slow and uncertain, but it is often necessary for the next stage of your life to unfold. During this time, it is important to remember that solitude does not have to turn into loneliness. Loneliness is the painful belief that you are disconnected or abandoned. Solitude, on the other hand, can become a powerful season of renewal. When you use this time wisely, it becomes an opportunity rather than a burden. You can use it to strengthen your faith, develop new habits, pursue meaningful goals, and reconnect with the direction God has placed in your heart. Another valuable lesson that comes from being alone is learning to trust your own decisions. When you are constantly surrounded by opinions and advice, it can become difficult to hear your own inner guidance. But when you spend time in quiet reflection, you begin to trust the direction God places in your heart. Your confidence grows because your choices are based on deeper understanding rather than pressure from others. And now here's the most important truth about these seasons of solitude. Being alone is often temporary. It is not the final chapter of your story. In many cases, God allows a quiet season so that when the right people finally enter your life, you are ready to recognize them. You are stronger, wiser, and more aware of what healthy relationships truly look like. The connections that appear after a season of growth are often far more meaningful and supportive than the ones that existed before. So if you are currently going through a season where you feel alone, try to see it through a different perspective. Instead of asking why you are alone, ask what this season is teaching you. Ask how you can grow, how you can strengthen your faith, and how you can prepare for the next chapter of your life. Sometimes the quiet seasons are where the most important transformation happens. They may feel uncomfortable at first, but they often prepare you for opportunities, relationships, and blessings that could not have arrived earlier. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who may also be going through a quiet season in their life. And if you want more messages about faith, purpose, and understanding God's plan, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also, watch the other videos here on FaithoriaTV, where we explore powerful insights about spiritual growth, life challenges, and the deeper lessons behind God's timing. Thank you for watching, and remember that sometimes the season of being alone is not a setback. It is preparation for the life God is building for you.